you get new headphones?
Yeah, I just ordered another pair.
Do you need...
Oh no, Susanna covered it because she destroyed them. And plus I'm going to get them repaired and give them to her, so it should be fine. We got
It's kind of chilly already. I'm going to switch this out first. Where?
Well, if precedent is any indication, the sun will be in your eyes in no time.
Mm-hmm. I have sunglasses this time.
That's good. Oh, fuck. Alright, so.
I'm still making coffee too. So
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can go in and out. I'm just closing the curtains so that we have a little bit of noise absorption.
It really does pick up everything.
What?
Just all the mics.
I know. I mean, it's this one mostly. It's MD's mic. That mostly does that damage. Oh, thank you for doing that.
So, we're already recording, but
Of course.
yeah. So yeah, we start recording, we just sort of roll into it, and whenever it feels natural, I'm just explaining since, she doesn't know the process.
I know.
Okay. So since we're still making coffee and stuff, we'll probably get up and move around, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll spend probably about 10 minutes describing how we all feel like shit.
Yeah.
Which is what we normally do.
Yeah, we're usually very
Yeah.
hungover, but you didn't do anything. Did you drink last night?
I don't drink.
Oh, you don't drink. Good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't drink too much, but I did get so high that on the way home I was like, I could either wait an hour until I'm less high, or I could kill myself right now, and then I won't have to be this high anymore.
Yeah, I've been there. It's
Yeah.
not a good feeling.
It was fun. I mean, I wasn't even particularly it wasn't a bad time. I was just this is too much to deal with, and I'm glad it will be over at some point.
Look how big this possum I found last night is.
Have I told you about the possum that I've been I have a relationship with?
I can't.
You
that
can't
lives in the
really see.
backyard?
No.
Yeah, I can't see anything.
Yeah.
All I can see are the bubbles in your phone protector.
Oops, sorry.
Now that Hannah lives in the front room, I have to go in the back door to when I go home, and there's this possum that lives back there, and it's growing way less and less afraid of me. So sometimes I'll go home and just kind of have a hang set.
Have
with
a
the
moment.
possum. Yeah. Before I go inside.
I love possums.
I do too. I actually like them better than raccoons, even though raccoons are cuter, because raccoons are meaner. Possums, I've walked in on a possum that was just having a good time, and it moves its mouth God damn it, it looks like it's saying God damn it, and it just walks slowly away. But raccoons are very skittish, but possums are just fine, I'll move. I feel they're very, and they won't do anything to you. I've had one scurry across my feet before, but a raccoon would fucking attack you. I know.
Raccoons walk in single file, and I don't like that at all.
Yeah.
That looks too coordinated for
Yeah.
creatures of the night.
And they have hands. That's the thing that always upsets me about raccoons is they have hands.
That's what's so cute about them.
Yeah. Yeah, and then they look excited.
Yeah.
They look like they're begging for money, but kind of like a French Quarter oogle kind of enjoying itself,
enjoying the begging.
Yeah. Yeah. I was telling Benjamin that I'm pretty sure I have a stomach ulcer, so alcohol is out.
No.
Coffee's out.
Coffee's out.
Yeah, I feel like shit.
Yeah, that's
I'm
all the
so
fun
sorry.
stuff, man.
Yeah.
Wait,
Speaking of-
do you really think it's an
do you guys want
ulcer?
some coffee?
Do you drink coffee?
Just put on a pot.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cream, sugar, anything?
No.
We do have milk that isn't spoiled today.
Fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Waters.
Okay.
Here, I'll help you with the things. Wait, I'm worried about your ulcer.
Well, we can talk about it.
Okay. That's a serious thing.
Is
It
it?
means your stomach's bleeding, right?
I think it means that your stomach lining is deteriorated. I don't think it means that it's bleeding
Okay.
necessarily. Yeah.
Have you ever had an ulcer?
I have really bad acid reflux.
Me too.
Yeah.
Never got to ulcers.
Well, if you want any Tums, I party. I just bought some for the sake of my... I'm shaking because I haven't eaten anything today.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
You have to eat stuff. for
I'm
your ulcer,
gravely
right?
ill. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I'm trying to keep it hydrated and
Gotta keep something on your stomach.
yeah.
You
So
have a banana?
what's that?
I just met you and I'm so concerned.
Oh, well,
I'm trying to shove bananas down your throat.
Yeah, what's that? The brat diet? Like bananas?
Yeah, bananas, rice, apples, and toast.
Yeah.
Applesauce and toast.
I might have to brat it up. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Does that have cream in it?
Are you lactose intolerant?
Oh,
Okay.
sorry, I got that wrong. I'll get you another one.
It's okay. I love this mug though. Can it stay?
Are you gonna pour it out?
Huh?
Let me pound that. Pound that coffee.
Yeah, pound that shit. Oh, I saw that Otto Lange cookbook. That's the best fucking.
Simple or the other one? We have two.
I only saw one. But
Yeah.
I went to his restaurant in London.
Was it good?
It was.
So do you have
So
anywhere to
fucking
be
good.
in the next couple hours? Okay, cool.
I have a crafting party later, but I could be late for that.
Okay. I don't know. Those craft people get very.
I might have a toot myself.
Yes, please. Well,
Yeah.
and then maybe eat something.
All right. I appreciate your concern.
Well, we're gonna talk about porn. You gotta be.
Gotta be super nutriated.
You gotta be ready.
Yeah. Yeah, I've lost like 10 pounds in the past 2 months. It has not been good.
It's just been really nauseous.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I deal with some of those. It's never gotten to ulcer point, but I know that. Do you have the cough?
No cough. I've been there before. The like reflex cough. Yeah, it's unpleasant. But no, it's just nausea whenever I eat or drink anything I like is when I feel sick. So.
Oh no.
Yeah. We're talking about getting me on that brat diet.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just am miserable all the time. Like that's my solution to acid
I
reflux.
love bananas and toast though. That's like 70% of my diet.
Yeah,
anyway.
but buttered toast, and I feel like the butter defeats the purpose of the right.
No.
No, it's okay.
Oh, unless you're really dying.
No, I
You can
think
have
I think a little butter's okay. Yeah.
I eat toast every morning, and I eat bananas every day because they're free at my school. So I guess I do it, but I also eat like tomato sauce and.
Thank you. Oh, thank you.
I think I was like fiddling with the levels, and I realized that like the last billion guests we've had have all been loud as fuck. So that's why the levels are all fucked up.
Okay.
Because you're very soft spoken, Zsa Zsa. All right.
It's always good to make people feel self-conscious about the way they speak before recording a podcast.
Oh yeah, that's my.
Yeah.
Last night, Will Preble was talking about the podcast to me. Like, I think he was a little bit tipsy, and he was like giving me a lot of really good advice about it. And one of the things that he said was that like I ask weird questions, and I should do more of that. So,
Oh, good. Okay.
He's like you're fearless about making people really uncomfortable. I'm like, oh great,
great.
Yeah. I was not picking up on those social cues, but thank you.
I mean, I noticed for sure, but
Really?
now it's working. I also can't tell the difference between our voices when I listen to the.
Oh yeah, he said that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really, y'all? I can always hear.
I mean, I can tell the difference because it's my voice and it's your voice, and I strongly identify
Sometimes
with my
I
own voice.
can't tell.
Really?
Full on, no idea.
That's funny.
I can tell.
Well, my favorite podcast.
This is my deodorant that I keep in my purse. Okay. I know you made fun of me for doing it last night at the show.
Well, you were just in the middle of the bar.
I know, I do
about
it
to
at
go
work,
on stage.
too.
It was pretty funny.
Yeah. It's because it doesn't work, so I have to put it on all the time because it's natural deodorant that costs $11.
Yeah, I don't use deodorant, but people can tell that by looking at me, so it doesn't matter.
No.
Yeah.
You never smell like even
Sometimes
Bia,
it
really?
smells.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have peppermint oil in my hair right now, so I smell delightful. But
Do you wear
my
deodorant?
armpits for sure smell bad.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
I just put on deodorant for the first time in like a week because I had to interact with people for the first time in like a week. I don't really leave the house during the week at all.
Yeah, I know a guy who trained his body to not need deodorant by just studying for the bar for 3 months and not like leaving his room. So he just didn't wear deodorant, and eventually he stopped stinking. Like
No.
I think he might have gotten desensitized to his own smell.
no, because it's
Like a cat.
he doesn't stink. He just doesn't wear it anymore. It's a certain bacteria. It doesn't really make sense, but I do know that like the more I wear deodorant, the more I feel like I need it. I don't know. There's got to be some science to it, or he might be one of those people that doesn't produce. Because there's some people that don't produce the bacteria that makes the typical BO smell. So maybe he just like never had it in the first place and was like really paranoid and thought that he did. I don't know.
Interesting.
Because he definitely doesn't stink anymore. Like, I've seen him since then. But he also just might not be a stinky guy.
I'm gross, and I like the way people smell. I just don't like the smell of like stale clothes, and I feel like people that stink most of the time it's their clothes that stink,
Yeah.
and not them.
Yeah. I dated someone when I was like 21 who introduced me to the idea that BO can be attractive. She was very proud of the fact that she smelled like Indian food. She was a white girl, but she was right. She did smell like Indian food.
I hate it when people smell like tacos. I hate it.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, there's like certain BO that just smells like corn chips, like feet BO, but all over your
You
body.
think feet and corn chips smell
They
the same?
smell similar, yeah.
All right.
The cat smells like corn chips to me.
It's a fungus.
Oh, really?
My dog smells like corn chips, and we had to get him on antifungal
Oh, no.
medicine.
Holy
That's like
shit.
It's the thing. She picked him up and was like, she smells like corn chips.
Yeah, dogs always smell like corn
Oh, no.
chips.
Suzanne's going to be very distressed to hear that because our cat smells very much like corn chips.
Is it dangerous?
I think it's uncomfortable.
It's uncomfortable.
But
Okay.
it's really easy to treat. They just gave him some little
Okay, good to know.
pills that you chop up.
Our cats don't stink, which is surprising.
My cat had a tapeworm. It's super gross. It's the nastiest thing. But I gave her a pill and she's better now.
I hate it when they have worms.
But I woke up and she was directly next to my face on the bed, and there was tapeworms in her butt. It was super gross.
Oh my God.
I can't deal with it. I would just kill the cat. I would throw it in the garbage.
Yeah.
Sorry, cat. You're...
Well, and she hasn't even been living there for like months. She was in Vermont with Izzy, and then she came back.
And immediately.
Had stuff crawling out of her ass.
Oh, man. That's New Orleans for you.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty cool stuff.
So should we introduce our guest?
On that note, yeah, why not?
Yes.
Speaking of worms coming out of your ass, we have with us
Zsa Zsa.
Zsa Zsa.
No.
Yeah.
That's the worst intro I've ever had.
Yeah, no. We have with us. I actually don't know very much about you. I saw you do like 5 minutes about being a cam girl at Siberia, and I was like, "This is hilarious." Have you performed that more than once, or was that the only time you've done that?
Yeah, I do that. That's probably the best set that I have.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate because then afterwards everyone calls me by my nickname that I give myself, which is Cummy the Cam Girl. Yeah. Yeah, and she's more popular than I am. She gets invited to more parties than I do.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, you already want to call me Cummy. That's all right. You can.
And you also do burlesque.
I do. And I was a stripper before I became a cam girl. And, I moved to New Orleans right before the Bourbon Street raids.
Oh yeah.
And I moved here from
That's unfortunate.
Massachusetts. Oh, God, it was more than unfortunate.
Yeah.
It was a national travesty.
Yeah.
I was living in Massachusetts, which is a full nude state. And when you're a full nude stripper, you can be pretty lazy. And when you can't show your vagina, you have to work a lot harder. So I worked on Bourbon for a little bit and was just like, honestly, was really not happy. And so I was like, well, I gotta do something. I'm stuck here. And so I started webcamming. Yeah.
Before we dive into the webcam stuff, in what ways can you be lazier if you work in a full nude state?
Oh, God. If you work in a full nude state, you can literally just spread your legs and men will stare at your vagina like it's a lava lamp. You really don't have to do very much.
Right.
That would be cool as hell, though, if you had a lava lamp for a vagina.
Yeah. All right.
We wouldn't be entertained by that? All right.
But, kind of beyond not being able to, show your vagina here, you can't touch your panties. You can't spank yourself. You can't touch your titties. Like, you can't motorboat anyone.
Was it always like that?
No.
So how was it before the crackdowns?
I wish, I didn't work in New Orleans before, but I think that it's generally what happens is that there are laws on the books for strip clubs, and then there's sort of what's actually the law, which is different. In a lot of states, there's like a 3-foot rule for lap dances that's, never enforced.
So that's not a lap.
No.
That's a...
No, they call them private dances or table dances.
Oh, gotcha.
Table
Yeah.
dances. Okay.
Yeah. So, I've heard stories about New Orleans. And I sort of came down here and was like, oh, these girls are going to be too wild. I'm not going to be able to keep up. And within 3 weeks, I almost got fired for making a joke. Like, it wasn't even, I made a joke about touching my titties and touching my pussy, and I got pulled off stage and pulled into the stripper cage.
Oh my God.
The stripper cage.
Wait.
Let's talk about the stripper cage.
It's not as exciting as, it's basically like where they keep all of the money.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it where you wait to go on?
No, and I can't actually get inside of the cage. It's basically like they keep the management inside of this little cage with all the money. I don't think everyone calls it the stripper cage.
Yeah.
That's what I call it.
Right.
Oh, you were thinking it was like a fun cage. No.
I wasn't thinking it was a fun cage because it sounded punitive. And
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
No, not at
Throwing
all.
ladies in cages.
Not at all. And the thing is I was working at a club that's owned by one of the major like strip club conglomerates, because basically 70% of strip clubs in America are owned. It's sort of like been Walmart devised or whatever.
Right.
And so I didn't almost just get fired from this club. They were like, you will never work.
Oh, fuck.
And just to prove that they didn't fuck with me, I went back and did 2 more shifts to be like, you can't scare me.
Yeah.
And then I stopped. So
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's fucked up.
And that led you into camming.
it let me into camming.
Did you know people who were doing it already? So you had some like
No.
So you just went in blind and you were
Totally blind. And beyond not knowing anyone that camped, I had never really watched porn before. Ever.
interesting.
So I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea any of it. And cam is really its own world. It has its own language. It has its own sort of sense of like courtesy, and it was a lot. And when I became a stripper, I had great stripper moms who really just held my hand every step of the way and, taught me everything I needed to know to stay safe. And on cam, I didn't really have that as much. Although at one point I did have a coach, which we can talk about more later. Because
Is that like a consultant?
yeah, it's a consultant, kind of like a therapist, kind of like like a helper inside of your room. But just, have you guys, any of you ever watched webcams?
They pop up sometimes.
I've been on one once with my friend who is a cam girl. Yeah, like 6 years ago when she was just starting. So she was not getting paid very much. Because isn't that how it works? Like you have to like build up a...
In the beginning, I made crazy money.
Really?
I made really good money right off the bat, and then it really trickled off because you get a boost at the beginning because it's like a new model, so you get pushed to the top of the page.
Oh, okay.
And so I had about 3 months that I was making awesome money, and then it sort of fell off. And part of that was just the time of year, because summer is apparently the worst time on cam. But it's also, that's the point where you actually have to start working and like building these clubs and basically building a cult around your pussy.
Do you know why it's like seasonal?
I think that it's... If
People
I
are
had
just
to
too hot.
guess, no, it's not too hot, but like, people are more likely to be on family vacation. They're more likely to be getting some real play. Cuffing season is really prime cam season, I feel, in the winter where people are sort of stuck inside with
lonely.
nothing to do.
Yeah.
Lonely or, locked down freshly.
This might be too specific because I want to just know more about what it's like to be on both ends of the cam, but do you develop like relationships with individuals that like, yeah, probably.
Absolutely. And that's always been my hustle as a dancer, as a cam girl. I'm very like, I never want to say that it's therapy at all, but at the same time, like that's what I'm there for. And I really am, my business model is much less about sex and much more about connecting with people and making them feel very special, which I think is important, and honestly how I sleep at night, right? Because for me, it's not about fucking, it's about making people feel like they're seen and appreciated, and that they have someone to talk to. And I never want to be like, it's not about sex, because it totally is. Like, you can't, I know burlesque dancers who sort of say, burlesque isn't about sex. I'm like, that's bullshit.
But sex is about more than coming.
Right.
Exactly.
Sex is, yeah, exactly.
Because if it, whoa, okay, sorry. Yeah, people just wanted to, If people just wanted to come, you can see anyone, Nate. You know what I mean?
Well, and
you
that's-
want to connect with someone.
And that's the thing is like porn, for the most part, if you want to watch porn, you're going to watch porn, right? Like you're not really going to go, when you're, interacting with a cam girl, you want that interaction. And whether it's you want, attention or you want control or you want, whatever it is, the live element of it is what you're there for.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, even like when I am home by myself and I make a meal or something and I just like want to be distracted while I'm eating, I'll like go to my computer and I could watch Netflix, which is like shows that people invested millions of dollars making and honing and perfecting, or I go on, or what I actually do is go on Twitch and like watch people play video games because at least they're doing it simultaneously with me. And that is actually for me a really powerful motivator to like watch something.
I was really scared that Michael was going to say that he watches porn while he cooks, like some sort of serial killer.
No, I mean,
I can't taste anything unless I have a boner.
But
Well,
that's,
that part of the fantasy could be like, well, we fucked, that's me in the video, and now I'm making a nice meal.
Wait, what were you going to
Could be
say?
sweet.
but that's actually what a lot of people do is cam girls are very much a background noise a lot of the time for people while you're working from home or whatever. You just have these sort of beautiful girls goofing off in the background, right? Like,
Do you ever feel ignored?
Yes. Oh my God. That's actually the hardest part about cam is like the immense sort of like downtime. And, I've gone on and made, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars. I've gone on and made 40 cents.
Right.
And it's really like, it depends on the day. It depends on this kind of all the stuff that you can't control and some stuff that you can control. But it really is, the days where it's slow are hard.
I was more asking, like, are you ever, like, is there ever someone on the other end and they're just not paying attention to you?
Well, I think that we should talk a little bit about sort of like what I see and the kind of different ways that the different ways that cam works. So for the most part, I was on a site called My Free Cams, which is probably one of the most popular cam sites, but it's also the site that has the most quote unquote non-nude models. So girls that don't show their puss. And those girls are like baking cookies and doing raffles and like it's much more like a PG-13 rated kind of thing. So you do public shows, and that's, those are like free. Anyone can come in the room. You've got people who are paying no money, who have no accounts, and that's 100% public. You can do private shows one-on-one. While I'm in public, say you're watching me, I can open up your webcam and I can watch you while I'm in public. It's in these little tiny sort of boxes in the bottom of my screen. So there's a bunch of different ways that you can interact and a bunch of different ways that I can either see you or not see you. But for the most part, a lot of people don't interact, and it's a pain for all the girls because we're like, this is this interactive thing. It's not fun for us if you just don't
Sitting there,
anything. Saying anything would be better than this. And tipping, obviously, would be the best of all.
So how does the money work? So there's tipping, and then there's like, and then you just pay to be. There are some rooms you just pay to be in, right? Or no?
Sure. Less so on MFC, I would say, although they've just changed the platform so you can build like clubs. I could put all of you in a club and I would just do a show just for you. But for the most part, the funniest thing about camming is that you're paid in nickels basically. Because a token is worth, basically 10 cents to you. To me, it's worth about 5 cents.
Right.
So there's all this sort of cam math that you have to do. So like 1,000 tokens sounds like so much money, and really you get kind of $50 out of
It's
it.
like Chuck E. Cheese.
Exactly like Chuck E. Cheese. And the tokens when they come across the screen are like yellow with red writing. It's kind of hideous.
Like a video game?
Exactly. And that's really what it is. It's sort of like it's a video game where I am the player that you're controlling, which is really different than stripping. Because in stripping, I was always very much in control of everything that was going on. And on cam, you sort of have to kind of let go of that a little bit and let other people control you, which I think fucked with me in a way that being a stripper never did. And I'll kind of say that, I'm not, afraid to say that from the outset. I had a much healthier time being a stripper than I did being a cam girl.
There's like an immediate community to help you out at being a stripper.
Yes, and cam is very isolating.
Yeah, because are Are there cam communities where
Absolutely.
girls talk to each other about
Communities.
this?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And there are lots of, sort of cam girl houses where they all live together. They do retreats and stuff like that. But that's definitely something that people in the community are actively trying to combat because it's a lonely life. And kind of a stressful life.
I feel like in pop culture, I see sometimes like these exploitative cam girl houses where they're like run by like some. I think I'm referencing an episode of Workaholics. So sorry, I'm extremely stupid. But there was, I think, I used to love that show. Anyway, the very dumb one.
Adam.
Fell in love with a cam girl and like busted into the house to like save her. But when you say cam girl houses, it's more of like a way to deliberately be less isolated.
Yeah, in some ways. I mean, there's always going to be, I think even I was watching a documentary about social media stars overall, and all of these models live in this gorgeous house, this like insane multi-million-dollar house, and it's an influencer house.
Right.
That sounds fucking terrible.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah, that does sound terrible.
That sounds like the worst place to be.
Yeah.
But the best way to kind of think about cam is basically social media star plus porn. And I define porn very loosely, mostly because I've been dealing a lot with my own kind of inner whorephobia and like how comfortable I am with what I'm doing. And, because cam, you have to be much more public. As a stripper, it was always like, well, no one knows about this. But as a cam girl, I really had to be like, okay, like, I'm going to do this. And beyond that, I'm going to be public about it and I'm going to tell jokes about it. And I am going to basically be like out. The only person who I haven't really come out to yet is my grandma. And that's like going to happen eventually. But
Is she cool?
My grandma is awesome. I don't think she's going to be pumped about this.
Right.
But I'm not going to get dissonant.
Right. Yeah.
And your mom is very cool with it?
I would not use the word very.
But cool.
Or cool.
Okay. But she knows.
She knows, and my mom has been very supportive, and when I've been struggling, has been there for me and not judge me. And my mom has been a trooper, and this has not been easy for her, and she goes sort of around and around on it because I think that. God bless you, Mom. There's a part of her that's proud of me because I am good at what I do. And then there's a part of her that's like, oh my God, like what, what is my daughter good at doing? And is this my fault that she's like this? But I always tell people, coming out as a sex worker in my family was definitely worse than coming out as gay. And I know that because when I was in college, everyone in my family thought that I was gay, and they had a big powwow, and they were like, "We're gonna love her no matter what." And everyone's like, "Yeah, of course." But unfortunately, that wasn't the thing.
Well, how long have you been involved in? When did you start stripping? Like,
oh my God, I'm gonna age myself real bad, but I've been in and out of the quote unquote adult industry for probably like 8 years.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's insane that ages you. Wow, 8.
I know you're young.
Yeah.
Oh, but in sex work world, I'm approaching dominatrix stage.
Oh man, are you on Twitter?
I'm trying. See, I feel like I have to come out to my grandma before I'm really like out doing what I'm doing, and so I am, but I have 0 followers on Twitter.
We could just send your grandma this episode.
I was thinking about it. If I don't do a horrible job, I might, but oh, grandma, if you're listening, I love you so much.
Introducing grandmas to the idea of a podcast is probably even more.
Yeah, she might be upset that you did this podcast.
Yeah, that for me, coming out to my family as someone who does a podcast was definitely worse than coming out as gay.
Yeah, the worst thing about it for me is coming out to every single person I talk to and telling them about my podcast.
Yeah.
What was I going to say?
Do you need some chicken grease to put in your eyes?
No. Last week I was eating fried chicken and I accidentally rubbed spices in my eyes and it was really bad.
And you purposefully rubbed it in your hair, which was...
Yeah, that was
to get
good.
rid of the grease.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. It's very dry hair.
It was a beautiful
conditions.
move.
Yeah, thank you. Okay.
That's how you know you're Southern.
Yeah, exactly.
For people that might not be as familiar, you want to just talk a little bit about what the raids were and I guess what Bear is and the response with that.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah, and I'm always very cautious talking about stuff because I have a lot of opinions, and but I'm not. There's a really great organization called the Bourbon Alliance of Responsible Entertainers, and they've done a ton of work on this. But basically, what happened with the bourbon raids is, nationally. I'm trying to think of how I can do this.
Well, it was kind of in the wake of Sesta Foster, right?
No, it's before Sesta.
It was before. Okay.
But yeah, you're right.
around the same time,
All of this is kind of happening at the same time. But what's important, and I'm not going to be able to pronounce this man's name right, but there's essentially a lawyer who's a conservative Christian who is going around the country, different cities, including New Orleans, and helping the city sort of establish plans to shut down the strip clubs. And it's all under the guise of this idea that there's secondary effects on a neighborhood that a strip club is in. So there's a strip club, and that means there's going to be more violence, more guns, and so basically this guy came into New Orleans, took a look at Bourbon Street and said, there are too many strip clubs here. There should only be one per block face or whatever it is. And so the city basically tried to shut down almost all the clubs. And they did it in a way that was very flashy, that made front page news. And they did it saying, well, we're trying to fight human trafficking, which the women who have been trafficked, women who have been working to, sort of end this, even with Fosta Sesta, that was to end human trafficking. But none of those things are things that people in the community feel are actually helpful. And honestly, it's, I blame Ashton Kutcher. Right?
I used to work as a transcriptionist. What is that foundation called? It's like Acorn or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's called Thorn.
Thorn, yeah.
Acorn's cool.
Acorn's different. I used to work as a transcriptionist, and I had to transcribe. Actually, this is a violation of my NDA, and I'm going to stop talking now. But anyway, yeah.
I'm like, I can pick it up.
Yeah.
So Ashton Kutcher, this isn't entirely his company, but I think that I still blame him for ruining the internet.
Yeah, fuck him.
Fuck Ashton Kutcher.
I had no idea.
Felt that way.
I had no idea he had anything to do with this, though. So yeah, keep going.
Well, he has this organization that's called Thorn that basically came out and said, we are going to disrupt this industry.
That's the red flag word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And came in and I'm sure you guys all saw when Backpage got shut down and basically full service sex workers were like, this is horrible. Our lives are going to be so much more dangerous.
Right.
So this Thorn company basically came in and said, we're going to be a thorn in the side of the sex industry and we're going to end human trafficking by doing something that will actually harm sex workers and make human trafficking even more dangerous, more deadly, and force sex workers more underground. And I don't quite know how to stress how important it is that in the sort of war on women, last year was a bad year on 100 different levels, and especially for sex workers, because in terms of strip club closures, it was not just New Orleans, it was somewhere in Tennessee, somewhere in Florida, all over the country. Cities are coming after women making money. And for me, in a country with the amount of gun violence that we have, to be persecuting strippers is the fucking stupidest thing.
It's the shittiest episode of Punk'd.
It's like,
also, if this guy's argument is that oh, it's going to increase gun violence, then fucking deal with gun violence.
Or deal with liquor. I know that New Orleans doesn't like to hear that, but this is a city that overserves and gives people easy access to firearms. I don't think it's the tits
that
are causing the problem.
I didn't know that was
come out and
connected
say
to
it's
gun
clearly
violence.
the guns that are getting people
are
shot.
making that argument that
the secondary...
Guns don't kill people, tits kill people.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that was an argument that people were making because they're so not connected at all.
Well, and for me personally, this I've thought a lot about because I've definitely worked in some clubs that are not safe. I've definitely worked in some clubs where the street outside at night is not safe afterwards. You're in the club and you're fine, and you walk out and there are 3 different street fights going on. And so, and honestly, I try and maintain an open mind about all of it, especially because I think that the adult industry in general is toxic in a lot of ways. And now we're at the point with cam girls, especially, that we're starting to be able to take more power. Stormy Daniels is our president. You know, and things are starting to shift. Women are starting to direct more porn. But on the whole, the industry does, in a lot of ways, take young women and eat them alive. And I hate that. And I don't think that it has to be that way. But I also don't think that Ashton Kutcher and Thorne and this guy coming in and making it so women can't make money, I don't think that is the answer.
So I found a way to talk about the Ashton Kutcher thing that won't get me sued. So Ashton Kutcher gave a public address.
Yes.
And he basically, I don't remember what the conference was, but it was under the aegis of Thorne or whatever. And he gave a talk, and it came in the form of a what?
I almost just lit my face on fire. I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
I know it's a torch. I'm sorry. Wait, keep on talking about Ashton Kutcher.
Aston
Ashton
Kutcher.
Kutcher.
Anyway, so he gave this address, but it was in the form of like a fairy tale, and it was like about this little princess who lived in a faraway land called Costa Rica.
Oh my God!
Except he pronounced it Costa Rica.
Costa Rica.
I shit you not. And then
that's worse than like New Orleans,
right?
Like,
And then proceeded to like in like infantilized fairy tale voice, proceeded to tell the story of someone getting sex trafficked, like a little girl getting sex trafficked or whatever, and he like pretends to cry while he gives it. It's so fucking weird. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
He also does a TV show with Danny Masterson, who has like several fucking rape allegations against him. And
what TV show is that?
That 70 show.
No, they have like a new one. It's on Netflix. No. It's just for people who like never grew out of that 70s
God,
show.
that's so sad.
And I know I look like I have never grown out of that 70s show, but yeah, no, I mean, it's terrible. Yeah, the idea that he's gonna like high horse anyone and like associate with this person, fuck him.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing is, you know, no sex worker that I know thinks that human trafficking or, you know, pedophilia, any of that stuff, no one is okay with it. No one is like, oh yeah, but that, you know, like we're all against that. We're all on the same team here. But instead of actually talking to the community, finding out what to do that would actually help, you know, basically this rich white guy came in and was like, I can fix this. Right. You know, like, we just need to do this, this, and this. And, you know, and
what do you think his motivation even was? I mean, I know it's not singularly like him either, but like, why try and take up this fight unless you do have a specific, like, shitty motivation for something?
Well, I think that, oh God, Ashton. He basically, it feels like his own personal cop drama, if that makes sense. And he's on a crusade.
He's white knighting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's a noble cause. And that's the part that makes me so upset, is that it's pitting people against each other who actually agree.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And also, I think that any celebrity that wants to help anything, the way they could do it is not being a public face, getting no credit, and just using their money to talk to people, like, and figure out what to do. But if you're going to get public credit for it, then it's going to be an inherently destructive, like, thing, I think, to anything. Because, I don't know, I'm thinking of Ashton Kutcher, but also it seems like, it doesn't even seem like Backpage. I mean, I have no idea, but from what I've seen, it seems like the vast majority of people on Backpage are people who were just managing their own money and not people that were being pimped out or right. So it seems like if anything that would decrease the number of people who were, am I wrong on that? Like having that as a resource. I mean, I know that there were underage, I don't know. Yeah, sorry, you go.
No, I think that you're dead on. I think that it's a little bit kind of moot, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, I personally don't, and I think that it's more helpful maybe to think about New Orleans, because this was also under the guise of stopping human trafficking. For me, if I were going to, you know, stop human trafficking at the Hustler Club, it would be all undercover. I would hire girls in the dressing rooms. You know, like I would put people in places where if I were being trafficked, I could go to Shonda and be like, You know,
Right.
the safe word. Have safe words everywhere,
Right.
which House Fight Club does do. They, on their televisions and the club, it says if you're a victim of human trafficking, you know, please do this, this, and this. But the you know, they definitely, the idea I think was if we make this big stink about this, then the human traffickers will go somewhere else. But what the fuck?
Yeah.
You know, like, what
Right.
the fuck? That's not stopping human
Right.
trafficking.
Stopping
Pushing
human
it down
They're
the
going to
line.
Houston. They're going to Atlanta. Like, they're going somewhere else.
Right.
That's the thing I never understood about Backpage getting shut down is like you have this centralized location where if trafficking stuff is going on, it's a great source of leads.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I know that it was primarily not used for that, but let's just shut it down so that we then don't know where it's happening.
Well, and the girls are scared of the police.
Right.
You know, that's terrifying.
Because they rape people and they're, well, I know not just that, like also being arrested, but I mean, cops are awful. Yeah.
But also being outed.
Yeah.
You know, take it a step down. A lot of girls who are dancing, their families don't know.
Yeah.
Their friends don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's just a mess. It's a mess that I don't necessarily know all of the answers to, but for me, it boils down to we as a country are very afraid of touch, of human touch. And we are way more afraid of human touch and vaginas than we are of all of the litany of things that are probably more dangerous than
Right.
that. So when something goes wrong, it's obviously the witches, you know, or it's obviously, and it's been true in the whole history of our country that women are blamed for all the stuff that like is legitimately not our fault.
And
I mean,
it is
even people talking about like violence around strip clubs. It's like, what? Make the connection there.
Yeah.
Like, what are you really saying? Just that like dudes get so horny that they have to shoot people. Like
That's-
Yeah.
what you fucking just said. You know?
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
I was just going to say it's weird how we're so okay with, and we have such reverence for like transactional things that are intimate, like therapy or like your doctor. Like there are all these things that are transactional, but we still recognize that they're like valid and like in some cases very wholesome. So it's so weird that sex is the one thing that we have that we're like, no, it's the opposite. The fact that it's transactional means that it's evil.
Well, the only way to have it properly transactional is if you do it with one person for your entire life and you tie your bank accounts together.
Yeah.
But what's
And
weird
you're
is that
legally like one
Steps.
unit.
it's what is weird to me about like I guess you were saying whorephobia. I have never used that word, but that's I guess the word. Okay, is that because I'm just saying I learned it from you. I'm high.
Guess
now.
that's the word.
No, I just,
use the fucking word.
no, I just didn't know the word. I think I've seen it before, but like I don't know how to say
yeah.
that. But that's a good So. I forgot what I was going to say because I'm high and Michael
Yelled at you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh,
No.
and you were about to open up about your whorephobia, and I'm here for it.
I think, well, I was saying that like we don't actually as a society like people to like be monogamous. Like we actually think it's pretty lame mostly in like pop culture and everything to be like, we're sort of opening up to not being monogamous and to being like very secular in ideas about sex, but still extremely whorephobic. And I think that like a lot of feminists are afraid. I think a lot of feminists, I'm not defending them. I just think it's like, you know, we get tricked into exposing ourselves a lot as women under the guise of like empowerment. But I think that the difference is that like, it's weird that people are more okay with that than women who are actually owning the money that they're making from it. You know what I mean? Like not doing it for someone else's benefit. I'm going on a tangent. Cut me off now. Okay.
You're good.
No, and I think you're touching on some kind of interesting things, and touching a little bit what's kind of devastated the adult industry is I like to say, you know, feminism is good for your dick, right? Like every wave of feminism, the first thing that women have done has gotten like we've gotten sluttier, right? Like
Yeah.
the Roaring 20s, you know, we got voting rights and immediately we're wearing mini skirts and getting drunk and having promiscuous sex. But I think that there's a sort of backlash to that. And then as time has gone on, I mean, you know, I'm talking about how you can't touch your titties on Bourbon Street. You can go out to the actual street and a girl can, you know, lift her
Flash,
shirt
right.
up and say, it's the money.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and I don't think, you know, stop me if I'm wrong, but I think that men have a hard time with women making money.
Yeah. That's what
You know, like
Yeah.
that's what it is.
like as women, we should be the opposite. We should be afraid to be sexy, because I hear a lot of women saying they're like sexy for themselves, but they're the same women who like will shame, you know, women who have a lot of sexual partners, you know, but they'll still be like, I don't look good for my husband, I look good for myself. I used to work at a fitness studio, and it's so backwards. Yeah.
Right. And, you know, honestly, like I said, I've been in the quote unquote industry for a long time, and I still, you know, doing cam, I had to confront all of this stuff, because there is a hierarchy of sex work. And even cam girls are, you know, consider themselves sort of better than porn stars, you know, because a lot of it's solo stuff. You know, it's still porn to me. If you're masturbating, you know, even like some of the smutty stuff I made, I wasn't masturbating. I still think that's porn, you know, like that's all porn to me. But making that transition from being a stripper to being a cam girl and doing, like, I really like have just come up against all of this stuff, and I've just been sort of like emotionally vomiting up years and years and years of like, am I sexy for myself? Am I sexy for someone else? Does it matter? You know, am I comfortable with this? I think that was the hardest part for me about camming, was finding where my line was, and just constantly being barraged with like, you know, will you put this up your butt and lick it? Are you comfortable with that? Are you comfortable with this? Are you comfortable with that?
Right.
Just this constant kind of like
Yeah.
questions that really make you stop and say, am I comfortable with this?
Right.
You know, and why aren't I comfortable?
Right.
You know?
Is there a way to negotiate that stuff before the moment?
Oh, it's always negotiated before the moment. So no one's going to pay. I'm not going to give you $100, like, and you may or may not do my secret fantasy, right?
Right.
Like, I'm going to find out beforehand, like, you know, will you dress up like a maid and, you know, whatever it is. That was such a tame example.
Right.
I brought screenshots so we can look at later if you'd like.
Yeah, that is my one regret about the fact that we do a podcast, is that we can't go over your screenshots together in a way that is entertaining to the audience. So we'll have to do that off
I mean, we
mic,
could just
probably.
describe them, but you know.
Yeah.
Well, I can just read a couple of particularly, and I feel okay reading them because, first of all, everyone has a weird screen
Name, right, yeah.
And second of all, like these were, we have like a sort of email system, and so these people didn't pay me any money at all to ask me these questions, so I feel comfortable.
Oh, okay. Yeah, how
Yeah, if
does
they're
how does
just,
that
you know,
screening
putting it out
process,
there.
what's that whole process work when you're discussing like what's going to happen before it?
Oh God.
And if I ever ask
Really-
anything you don't want to talk about, you don't have to.
Oh, I highly, you're all so sweet. I highly doubt there's anything you're going to ask me that I won't answer.
We're pretty dumb.
Well, soon. Well, yeah. I mean, it's really, you know, it's just like any kind of relationship, right? You're like, are you comfortable with this? And some people are very like forward, and immediately I am like, no. You know, and it really is like people will send you messages and be like, hi, how are you? Can I eat your butt? You know, like it's very like, it's very
polite.
Even the hi, how are you is like, not everybody.
right.
Because sometimes it really is just, you know, put your fingers in your butt.
Yeah.
And you can block, like I have a very active block button, and very little time for nonsense. And even though it is, you know, everyone's like, oh, it's a sex website or whatever, I still think that no matter what, even in a strip club, even on a porn site or whatever, there's still decency. I'm still a human fucking being.
Of course.
You know, and if you can't, you know, if that's not how you see me, then I get out.
Well,
you
I think
know?
it's the same with like any service. It's like, yeah, I mean, especially like in America, because we have no like sort of collective community purpose to us. We are defined by our like monetary exchanges, and when we're paying for a service, as a culture, people are so entitled to just be treated how they think they should be treated, which most of the time is insane. And it's like, yeah, even if you're paying for something, like you should get what you're paying for, I guess, but like just be a decent person about it. It's not that fucking hard.
Well, I want to give you just like the best example. So I didn't do a lot of this kind of stuff, but I had someone contact me and, you know, was basically like, I want to demean you. And he said it in the nicest way. He was like, you know, if you're not comfortable with it, that's totally okay. But like, you know, this is how I like to play, and I think you're beautiful, and I'd really like to do this with you. You can stop anytime. You know, he really like laid out all of the ground rules, and I was like, sure. You know, like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll show you that. It was one of the best experiences that I had on cam. And he was, you know, calling me a dirty whore and like every name in the book. But because he was so kind about it in the beginning and because he really laid out, this is what we're going to do, you know, like the whole experience was like magical. It was awesome. And I was like, you know, thank you so much. That was great.
The BDSM community is really good about that stuff.
Absolutely.
Mostly. Some of them are horrible, but yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. With regard to the, I'm sorry, did you have more on that? I was going to say, with regard to the hi, how are you thing, like when I used to teach and my students would often send me emails like, I need the printout with like no salutation. And it was like, I mean, and this is like such a like old fogey generational thing. Like, but I remember just being like, are you fucking serious? Like
Parents do that to me.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes. Most of them are really nice, but
That's a kind of a different power dynamic, though. You know, like this is people whose grades I control,
right,
and who like it's. I mean, I'm not gonna use that power, but they don't know that. You know what I mean?
Man,
they don't know what they're doing. They're not
Yeah.
being intentionally crappy to you. They just have no idea how
Right.
to talk to people.
And I'm sure that they are also on campsites, sending DMs.
Oh, what's
sure.
the average age of people that pay for cam?
Oh my God, so much younger than I thought it would be.
I thought it would be like 40s and 50s.
That's what I thought too. But no, it's and it really, honestly, like it really runs the gamut. But I was expecting your typical, you know, kind of hometown strip club audience, which is mostly older men because they've got disposable income. But cam, I think, especially because the kind of zeitgeist of cam happened when a lot of these, you know, young men, they were part of that. You know, cam becoming a thing. But the audience is much younger, 30s. I've had clients who are, you know, 18 years old. Pray to God, not younger than that. But that's one of the things that I think is really kind of freaky about cam is you have no idea who's watching, you know, and like the ages of the people that are watching. And but my best, I don't even want to say that. Runs the gamut, totally runs the gamut, but skews much younger than I was expecting when I started.
It's interesting.
And also much handsomer. Hi, guys.
younger people are just
cool.
like more, you know, online. Like they're just better at the internet.
Exactly.
So, like, yeah, they're gonna figure out. They're like, oh, there's a.
Yeah.
Do any women use cams? Do you ever encounter women?
Oh, God, yeah.
Really?
Okay, we want to hear one of my craziest, dumbest. You see, I have short hair now. So there was a girl, and she had been coming into my room for months. And you'll see why I'm okay outing her. Coming into my room for months and, you know, telling me I was beautiful. And, you know, a lot of the women who do watch cams don't want you to tell any of the guys that they're a girl because the guys will start fucking with them or, you know, whatever it is. And they're like, please just be private about it. But I've had several women in my room. But this one in particular had been coming in for a few months and then was like, saw one of my snaps and was like, I want your hair. Will you cut your hair and sell it to me?
Whoa.
And I was like, how much?
I get that offer quite a bit.
Don't fucking do it. So we went through this whole thing and I was like, how much? And she offered me $500. And I was like, okay, like, sure. Yeah, why not? I could use the money. And she was like, okay, well, I want you to send me a video of you cutting it off and then I'll send you the money. And I was like, can I have some money before?
Yeah.
And she was like, no. And so I did it. And I was like, this is probably not going to happen. I still have the ponytail because she never paid me.
That motherfucker.
But let it drag on for literally 2 weeks of, oh, my you know, my account isn't working. And like, you know, I swear I sent it. And like,
Do you think that
Are
was
you
like
still trying to sell that hair? Sorry.
yes.
Okay, well, if anyone's listening, yeah.
I'll even go below 500 if you really want it. It's
$498
beautiful.
is the lowest
beautiful
she'll
hair.
go.
pre-cut?
NPNC listeners
Costs
get the
less.
friend rate of $498.99. Yeah.
What were you about to say?
I was just kidding. What a bitch. That's nuts.
But I think that honestly, what I realized, and like honestly, that was partly my fault, and I knew that it was kind of stupid, but it was like a whatever kind of thing. But there's some of it that you have to be careful of because people get off just talking about it.
Yeah.
Right.
They're not
That's
actually
what-
going to give you the money for the thing.
When
Right.
you started the story with, you see, I have short hair, I was like, oh, there was a fire. It's like, damn, this is about to be really. I mean,
Yeah, that's how Mary Devin would lose some of her hair, probably.
I set it on fire all the time on accident, but I have a lot to lose. so.
every time I smoke a bong, I forget that I have long
hair, yeah.
and I set myself on
Well,
fire.
and it's covered in chicken grease, right?
Yeah, it's very flammable because I just wipe all my. Yeah, it's like a compost for trash. Well, compost is for trash, but for like grease.
It's a compost for trash. You should bring that on Shark Tank.
Shut up. I like being stupid. Did you want this?
I'm good for
You're
now.
good? Okay. Wait, I had another thing I wanted to ask about. I want to know like the funny things that happen. Like, or is there one
I know,
that
I'm
sticks
kind
out?
of bummed that we didn't just front load it with all the funny stuff. I feel like we got into
No,
like,
it was
the
really
heavy
good. It was
political
very-
shit at the beginning, but
Well,
oh
as
my
long
God.
as I like leave this saying fuck Ashton Kutcher, we're good.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Exactly.
Aston cunt hair.
I mean,
Good,
I,
good,
like,
yes.
if I
Ashton
do-
cunt hair.
if I do literally nothing else in my life, I think that taking down Ashton Kutcher would be like the best.
I had no idea he was still bebopping around doing stuff in the public eye. I thought his career was over after the butterfly effect. I
Oh
didn't
no,
know.
he got hit with that white guilt, and now he's trying to save the world.
God, who was he married to?
Mila
Demi Moore.
Yeah.
He was married to
right.
Wait,
Oh, Mila
Fucking-
Kunis.
Mila
They
Kunis.
Yeah.
just had babies.
Of striptease. So come on, dude.
yeah.
That movie's insane.
How did you navigate giving your cam viewers a sense of control with like retaining some control of yourself? Or was that tough?
That's incredibly tough. Especially because I don't feel like I had particularly good boundaries starting out. Because I was like, I'm just going to try everything. And the stuff I don't like, I won't keep doing. But once you kind of establish that you'll do something, it's kind of hard to sort of take it back.
Right.
Because the other thing about camming is you're really 24 hours a day available for these men. Not, you can set boundaries and be good about that, but, it's not just the physical time you're on cam, which averages, between 3 and 6 hours, but it's still, kind of a 60-hour-a-week job for girls who are doing it full time.
Because the DMs are coming in, or
DMs, you have to, you're essentially building this like small pussy business. And so you're making videos, you're taking pictures.
Oh, okay.
You're
Yeah, you said
creating
you have to build a
clubs.
cult around your pussy earlier. That was very cool. It was very cool that you said that.
Accurate.
giving MD some ideas.
Accurate. And you have to, you have to build your brand, and the clearer your brand is, the better that you'll do. And like, there's a lot that goes into it. And I really struggled with a lot of that stuff, which is why I got a coach. And my coach sort of asked me, what's your goal? And I said that I want to make an old man so happy he dies,
That's so good.
which I have not done yet. But yeah, I think
Still
that
plenty.
I think that probably the weirdest thing about watching people's webcams, which this is really like when I first started, I didn't really watch other people's cams. And then, as a comedian, which is, even as a stripper, I consider myself a comedian, like I dance, and I'm a beautiful dancer as well as I can be. But really, like, I make people laugh. And
Yeah.
that's what my sort of stock and trade is, I'm an entertainer.
Silly fucking is always good anyway.
And isn't that what burlesque was originally?
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. And burlesque kind of still is in a lot of ways. It's stripping with a sense of humor. But there came a point where I started opening other people's webcams, and I started doing it because it was an audience, and I could see my jokes landing. I could see,
Right.
and that was like huge for me. And so I just started doing it all the time. And I did a lot of, I would do cam to cam and draw your face. I'm a really bad artist. So I would just sort of like scribble or whatever. But just like kind of to get a way to get people to just like be interacting with me. I lost my...
Free t-shirts, t-shirt cannon.
Right.
I wish. Yeah, but
Your coach.
my coach. Oh no, let's not go back to him yet.
Okay.
No, watching people's cams.
Oh yeah.
So my policy is that if I'm going to open your cam, I have to see your face, because a lot of guys want to open it up and just show their dick, and like that is like like I don't care. Your dick
Yeah,
is the least attractive part of you.
Right.
I've
You
been
know?
on chat roulette. I've seen my fair share of that angle of like
Wait, how can you
gooch
even see
balls
the
and
screen
dick.
very well if you have it, or do they have like a separate cam than their like laptop cam?
He's
I'm just trying to-
asking how you put your dick in it and look at the screen.
Yeah.
Like this. I'm doing it right now.
You're
just
doing
look
it?
down at the
Oh,
screen?
there it
Okay,
is.
yeah.
Oh,
You
man.
get a
You can do lots of guys want to do a side angle because
Oh.
the dick
Take a
looks
picture.
bigger from the
Yeah.
side.
You're gonna take a picture of me.
Yeah.
Second takeaway from this is that your dick looks bigger from the side, apparently. Did not know that.
You gotta find the right angle for your particular dick.
Yeah.
But I will tell you that you should never take a dick pic with your scrotum resting on your phone
Oh, my God.
from beneath.
Who would think that was a good idea?
I have no idea. But it's a very and like it's
Sounds comfortable.
anyone who's setting a pic like this is like not really thinking clearly.
Right.
But yeah, they'll put their phone sort of right beneath their scrotum and like snap a pic that way. Like you call your moms with that phone.
Yeah, that's horrible.
And also like balls are disgusting.
Yeah, they are disgusting. They're another very specific, horrible
We're
smell.
sex positive, anti balls.
Yeah. They.
I love balls, like, but they're not like I'm not like ugh, balls, like you know, like
Yeah.
oh, a picture.
Nothing
of
makes
balls.
me come by like a picture of a scrotum.
Yeah, dicks are much better than balls, obviously. I mean, we all know that. But yeah, dicks aren't... I think dicks are pretty ugly, too. Most of the time.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Benjamin's like my dick.
But I also don't
I
think that
think my dick is
vulvas...
beautiful.
I think, I think all genitalia is, like, very cool when you're very horny. But if I
Right.
just saw, like, a vulva in the wild, I'd be like, Like, I don't think that they're, like, great...
In the wild.
In the wild. Like, if I was just walking down the street and there was just someone
A
just
disembodied. Oh, okay.
spread eagle, I
Gotcha.
wouldn't be like... Yeah, how beautiful. It's like an exotic bird.
I probably would.
Yeah.
Just dive right in.
I think I'd be very
I
surprised.
know I wouldn't leave her alone, but I'd be like, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I forgot why I was talking about that.
And
Oh,
the-
yeah, don't put your scrotum on the screen. Go back to the dick pics. Sorry.
Oh yeah, no. Well, that's we were talking about cam to cam. So it's called cam to cam, and it's where I will watch someone's webcam and they're in public chat. But the thing that I love is that like men like to get very creative when they masturbate on the internet.
Right.
Right. Most of them, you
Yeah,
know,
you're putting on more of a show than you usually
Absolutely.
would, probably.
and they love climbing on things.
Hell yeah. Like hanging from stuff?
Oh yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, hang for stuff, but also like if it were me, like you know, right now I would go climb on top of that chair. Like I would like sit on top, and like you know, one guy would like climb on top of his couch like a cheetah. You know.
People getting a damn workout.
Yeah. Well, and I appreciate that because just watching a dick sort of go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, this is very boring
Yeah.
for me. But when you do something, they also do this thing. This is going to be horrible for a podcast, but I call it the nipple dance. Where it's basically just like they frame just their nipples and sort of their tummy, and then they just rub on their nipples like this. Is it doing it for you?
Is that for them or you?
It's for me.
It's for you.
Oh, that's
okay.
nice.
Okay, nice.
no.
I don't know what you want, but I'm going to try and give it to you anyway.
That's so
That's what
sad.
that is.
I don't get it.
But I was doing a private show for this guy that I almost didn't agree to do because he was he's a lovely strange man, but he's very short, and at one point he climbed on top of a stool, right?
Oh, no.
And I was like, oh my god, this is horrible. This is horrible. So just like the bottom half of the frame is just like the stool, and then there's like the bottom half of the body of this like tiny little short man just like furiously masturbating.
Trying to make someone so happy they die, then like getting them to climb.
Oh,
on
yeah,
shit.
did
Well,
they
we're
ever
getting
get
there.
hurt? Oh, yeah.
Oh, we're getting there. So he's furiously masturbating.
I'm
And then
imagining that he's 3 feet tall.
he's 3 feet tall. He's actually a leprechaun.
He's the Expedia gnome or whatever. Yeah.
And so he's furiously masturbating, and then all of a sudden I see the stool just go a little bit off, and I'm like, oh fucking no! And he just goes flying, and his cam blacks out, and I'm like, oh my
He's
God,
dead.
He's dead. He's definitely dead. Unfortunately,
Has he paid yet?
Yeah, no, he was not paying by the minute. That's always,
Yeah.
you know, if I'm going to watch you die, I deserve a bonus. I'm going to let that shit run
Yeah.
until somebody comes and finds you. But no, totally conked out. And I, you know, was like, oh God. And it was kind of just like a shitty experience
Yeah.
overall.
Yeah.
Sorry, dude. I wish I had
Did
a-
he get back up though?
No, he did not. Did
he
not
just-
come back in like the public, and I was like done for the day.
Did he
So
just groan in pain? Or you can't hear?
The next day, he comes back into my room and he sends me a message, and I'm like, oh, thank God you're not dead. And then this is what he says, and I actually have a screenshot of this. You're so fucking hot in private. I fell off my fucking chair, standing on it, jeans around my ankles. When I shoot my load, I collapse. But you didn't answer that last question I asked. Do you suck dick?
Oh my god.
Beautiful. It's a poem.
It's a poem.
It is. It's a lovely poem. That happens all the time.
Oh my goodness.
What is the most outlandish thing anyone's done to try to make you fall in love with them?
Fall in love. I think, a guy dropped probably $3,000 in a week on me. I would say that probably
That's
is
charming.
it.
Yeah.
And he was hot as fuck too.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah, it was a good.
Have you ever, not to like further the idea that it's not safe to do sex work, but has anyone ever like tried too hard to see you in person, or do people sort of respect that boundary, or?
No, I think, because like I said in the sort of beginning, I really like will sell, and I hate saying that, but I don't care. I will sell intimacy, like that's really what I'm doing is a kind of closeness. And I think that sometimes has gotten me into a little bit of trouble. Have been so blessed, so incredibly blessed to have just like the best clients, the best customers. Like I am so lucky, and I count my lucky stars every day because I've really never had to do anything that I didn't want to do.
Awesome.
I have been incredibly fortunate and for whatever reason have just drawn to myself like these clients who are awesome, and they're so supportive. But I do think that, when I was a stripper, I had a client fix my computer for me and then was like, oh, you can come get your computer back, but you have to come to my house.
Yikes.
So it's more situations like that where it's like it gets to a certain point where they think, oh, well, then you should just do this thing because we've done all these other things.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's where it gets a little weird. But with Cam, it's great because no one knows where I am.
Right.
But I think, for the most part on Cam, it is such a lovely community. People know what they're there for. And, it's sort of the outliers. And I'm not saying that, everyone on Cam is like a sparkling good person at all. But for the most part, I was really blown away by how kind people were. And I think that that's honestly what people get the most confused, along with thinking, strippers and sex workers are this way, we're slutty or we're stupid or we can't do anything else. People also stigmatize our customers, and I hate that. They're gross or they're this or that. I'm like, no, it's your dad, man. Like, it's your brother.
Or
like
it's you.
It's you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, everyone's trying to get off somehow. There's not like there's no completely pure way to get off, like, as far as like culture says, really.
No, masturbating is a sin. Sex is a sin.
That's true.
So,
that is entirely true. I'm going to hell for masturbating, for sure. Yeah.
It's worth it.
Yeah. It's worth it. Eternal torture is worth like 15 seconds at a time of feeling
15 seconds?
Is that a lot or not a lot?
I don't know which part you're talking about.
Just the orgasm part.
You orgasm for 15 seconds?
Sometimes.
That's a long fucking time.
No. Because
I want you to time that shit the
It's
next
not like
time.
it's not like running like a faucet, but that's the
like a faucet,
like the euphoria.
Okay, all right.
Like a leaky faucet.
Yeah, that's
Gross.
Yeah.
I have a question. Do people ever demand that you have real orgasms, and do you fake them when
that's
they
a good
do?
question.
Oh no! Yeah, of course. The worst thing. The worst thing is like people will do like I want to get a 15-minute private, which I don't really do. But some days I'll be like, okay, whatever.
Is that long or short?
Short.
Okay.
Very short. For me, it's very short. And they'll be like, can you come 5 times?
Jesus Christ.
And I'm like, no,
Get the fuck
Yeah.
out of
no,
here.
like I will lie to you.
Right.
Yeah, I can lie 5 times.
Exactly.
I can lie hundreds of times in a
that
minute.
really
Give your
that
clit a concussion.
that gets to the crux of why I've sort of struggled with Cam is that as a stripper I I've said sort of throughout the course of this little interview, like everything I do I need to be able to sleep at night. And with Cam there's a lot more lying that I feel goes on, and that idea that this is like a fantasy or whatever, it's much more unhealthy to me. The idea that someone would think a woman could come 5 times in 15 minutes is just like, I feel bad for you, and like the other thing is like, every cam girl is using a vibrator. How many of the guys who are watching these cam girls use these vibrators are using vibrators on their real partners or the real women in their lives?
Exactly.
So I think that the next shift, what I would like the next shift for the adult industry to be is to just be a little bit more real, you know, and a little bit more helping people have better sex. Instead of, you know, this sort of idea, this is escapism or this is this, you know, as women are allowed to be more than saints or whores, as we're allowed to occupy that kind of neutral ground. I read a statistic that 65% of heterosexual women are not orgasming from sex. And I don't think that porn is helping. Right? And so I really you know, have had to step back from cam in a lot of ways and really evaluate, you know, is this helping? Is this helping me other than financially? You know, is this helping my clients? Like, am I providing a service that's making people's lives better? And how can I do that? And how can the industry overall do that?
I don't know if I've brought this up on mic before, but it was probably like a month or two ago. I saw it was this porn, and it was 3 people, and they were shooting it themselves, and it was like super. It was like long. It was like an hour, and at one point, one of the people got up to go pee. And they were all just like really sweet about it, and I was like, "This is the greatest thing I've ever seen." I haven't stopped thinking about it since then.
Yeah.
Just like, oh shit, yeah.
You don't want to get a UTI.
Yeah, someone drink some water, go pee.
Yeah, that's kind of like our podcast. We have a very realistic podcast where we are all hungover and peeing all the time.
Right.
Well, there are several awesome porn companies that are making really beautiful work right now, like Ersties. I don't know if you've heard about them. There's also a really wonderful documentary on Amazon, and I almost want to look up the title of it right now so I can like promo this
Go for
woman.
it.
Yeah, do it.
She's
Yeah.
French, but it's about free porn and the effect that tube sites have had on the adult industry in general. And, you know, spoiler alert, it's been devastating.
Yeah.
And the people who really are suffering are women.
Yeah.
Who are having to do increasingly horrible things, you know, taking 5 dicks in their butt for less and less and less money.
So pay for porn.
Pay for porn. Pay for your porn.
And they're only getting paid like once for it too.
Yes.
Like
Not
people
getting,
will
like,
watch
royalties.
it over and
Yeah.
over and over again.
Yeah, and the royalties from these sites, because that's what they say, oh, would you get royalties? It's
Nothing. Negligible.
nothing.
Yeah.
And what you find out from...
It's the same with like Spotify, like just everything being all in one place. Like nobody's making money from it.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it's actually the parallel that I would draw is more with Amazon than with Spotify, because Amazon's business model did not prioritize making revenue. It was all about traffic, right? Getting people on Amazon. And the free porn sites, as you watch the documentary, you'll kind of see that's what they are. You know, they're not really trying to make a profit. It seems like they're laundering money. And it's really bizarre to me in this climate of FOSTA SESTA that nothing has been fucking done about Xvideos, about YouPorn, about any of these sites that are actually causing, you know, damage.
Right.
And it's something that I think that porn stars and evangelicals can agree on, right? Free porn is not good.
Right.
Kids should not be able to watch some of the stuff that they can watch online.
No, and it's terrifying what it's doing to people's, like, I don't know. I think that...
Reward pathways.
Yeah,
Their brains.
yeah.
What did you say was the name of the porn company that's doing the Lord's work?
Ersties?
Yeah. How do you spell that?
I think it's...
I'm going to have to do some journalism.
I used to watch free porn. I'm a bad person, but I
did too.
I started
Don't.
reading literotica instead, which is embarrassing.
Wait,
but-
like Harry Potter fan fiction?
No, it's a website called Literotica where people just like submit weird things, and you can listen to text, audio text.
I
'Cause
came real hard.
I'm more auditory. No, it's people like acting out.
Okay.
And I'm more auditory. And they even make like coming noises. Like they'll get. I always try to imagine like if someone's fucking, it'll only be one person, but they're pretending they're fucking someone, and they'll make like squishy noises to make it sound like they're fucking. And I'm more auditory than I am visual. So
That just means you haven't lived with a roommate in a while.
why? Wait, what?
You're watching porn with a roommate. You gotta keep that shit low volume.
Yeah. No, I have headphones.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would feel so creepy jacking off in headphones.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't care. I always feel creepy jacking off because I have like, yeah.
I guess that's the fun of it.
Yeah.
But-
I feel horrible afterwards all the time.
What you were saying about the like evangelicals agreeing, I think they would, but they would never take up that fight if it was going to end up helping anyone.
Why?
Because I think they're just so like anti-sex that even if it was like, well, we're trying to cut down on the free porn, once they realized it was like benefiting sex workers, they would.
My dream right now is to have Stormy Daniels and some sort of, minister, deacon within the church to make a public service announcement together. That would be my dream, because I think that in the current political environment, we're like, oh, well, they'll never, but there's a lot of stuff that we agree on, even with horrible Donald Trump, who's president of the United States, calling out the media. Our sort of, as liberals, our immediate response is like, well, he's wrong. But like my lefty friends have been bitching about the New York Times since I was in, high school.
Totally.
So being able to like see through the noise and be like, hey, like there's actually some stuff that we agree on. Wouldn't it be cool if we could make a difference? I'm pipe dreaming right now, but like that's my dream, to be able to say like, hey, we both want this thing,
Right.
So
Well, and like, what's a better story than like an unlikely coalition working for
Right.
like something good? That people are always like hoping for something like that to happen.
like Starsky and Hutch, or
They were an unlikely coalition.
wait, which one's the dog? Which one's the movie about the cop with the dog?
Turner and Hooch.
Turner and Hooch. Starsky and Hutch.
I was like, those were just two cops.
Thelma and Louise.
Dude, Thelma and Louise is so good.
Yeah.
oh my god, I'm trying to find this fucking documentary, but all that's coming up is free porn.
Wait, you said it was a French lady?
Yes, and I think I'm trying to remember her name. I can't believe I did not come from more prepared.
And it was on Amazon?
Yeah.
Ugh, sorry.
Bless you.
I'd just like to defend myself. Zsa Zsa was looking this up when I went on that weird rant about what I masturbate to, so I was not taking up time that could have been spent talking by someone more interesting.
That's pretty interesting.
How are you feeling?
Good. Thank you for your concern.
Genuinely worried about you.
I could tell. I appreciate that. Yeah, I feel good. The tooting my CBD bud or whatever helped a lot. I feel well enough that I almost made myself a cup of coffee, which was a terrible idea.
No.
Yeah, don't do that.
But I want it so bad.
I really hope that chili oil I made you doesn't fuck you up, but I feel like
It'll be
it's
fine.
going to.
No, it'll be fine.
And you're gonna eat it anyway because you're.
No, just give
Look
it
at
like
you.
a week.
Yeah, but what?
It's a week of your life, and then afterwards you'll feel so much better that you'll actually be able to like enjoy.
Yeah, I have been like kind of low key depressed because I felt like shit all the time. So you're right, but
Well, and your body is just telling you, like just like take a nap, man. Take a nap. Eat some really good food.
Do you just have a bad poop?
no.
No.
But thank you for asking. Did you? Are you projecting?
No. I just knew
Would you like to?
I just knew you were having stomach problems.
Yeah, no, it's not that kind of stomach. It's just like my stomach's like, I hate you. I hate
Yeah.
everything you stand for.
Everyone I know has been having stomach problems this week. I vomited.
Maybe we all have like Giardia or something
Yeah.
from drinking the tap water.
Being 30 is great. I vomit on my period now. It's so great.
That's awesome. But not
Are
helping.
you 30 yet? No, you're not 30 yet. Are you? Okay.
All right.
You don't. Yeah, never mind.
She's raises eyebrows, age.
Zsa Zsa is ageless.
Years old.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
All right. So I guess we're back
Yes.
after some time away. Anybody have a good question to ask? I have so many. They're not good, but I
they're
have
not
so
good?
many. Yeah.
Is there anything like a union for cam girls?
No.
Is there
No.
any? Have you heard of any talk about something like that? It seems like if people are like worried about being too isolated, that's kind of where that goes.
Yeah, I think. No, I haven't heard anything. I think that there are lots of organizations in New Orleans. They're trying to start a union for entertainers, which is Bear, the organization I talked about earlier. But I think that when Fossa Sesta, we found out it was happening, everyone got very afraid. And then it happened, and not really anything all that bad happened. Although recently, oh man, incels.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
We all know about incels. So incels got it in their head that they were going to take down cam girls
Oh, I heard about this. Yeah.
by reporting them to the IRS.
Fucking narcs.
Isn't it legal to do?
Yeah, it's totally legal. But they were saying that all these girls were bragging about evading taxes, and these
That's
young
what turns everyone on.
men, these
Give me
young
that
men.
Tax
talk.
fraud.
Yeah.
And when you turn someone into the IRS for tax fraud, you get a percentage. You get 1% of the money that they're like, we're gonna get rich. And that was like a big controversy because, you know, one of the things that happens, and this is the scariest thing, is that banks can close your account.
Yeah.
Venmo can kick me off. You know, like I can get
And you're
kicked
less
out of
likely to get a
Gmail.
loan even if you're making a lot of money.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. There's all sorts of there's money. The money side of it, it can get really sticky really quickly, and you know, the cam sites. I don't even want to speak on that. Never mind, because I don't know enough about it. I try. I like am really kind of uncomfortable being a spokesperson for sex workers a lot of the time, partially because I feel like I'm not slutty enough, which is something. It's that whorephobia thing. It's like I sort of gravitate between being like, oh my god, I've sat on 3 million guys' laps and like done all this shit, and like shown my pussy out on the internet, and like, oh, but I didn't do this. You know, I didn't take it up the butt with like a huge cock. Like, who am I to say? You know, like who am I to talk about any of this?
Also, you don't have to be a spokesperson for anyone
just
else. You can talk
talk
about
about yourself.
your experience, and
Oh,
you're going to have
absolutely.
opinions.
Yeah,
on,
just being
like,
an actual sex worker speaking on this and not someone projecting their own ideas onto it's beneficial to everyone, I assume.
Right, and you know, I'm a college graduate. I also don't have children and don't intend to, and I feel like there's a part of me as I've gotten older and realized that, you know, I don't want to work with kids. You know, that it's important to have more of us come forward who have a relative amount of kind of safety, you know, and come out and talk to people. And, you know, I do stand up and it shows people will come up to me and be like, please don't stop doing what you're doing. We've never heard from someone like you before. It's so cool to meet, like, you know, we hear about you, but like we've never met someone like you. And all it takes is one, you know, meeting one sex worker and having them be, you know, a kind, compassionate, you know, intelligent human being, which so many of us are. Like that changes the narrative that the popular media has put out there about what strippers are and what sex workers are,
think
what
it's
porn stars are.
not exactly the same, but it's analogous to people just being more accepting of like gay folks and trans folks. It's like once you realize that, like once people start meeting them in their real lives, it changes everything, and then it trickles to the media, and then that changes everything from there.
I used to
Same
be
with like drug use too. Like there's so many things that are like taboo, and like once you actually meet people who live those lives, you're like, oh, okay, it's fine.
Right.
They're just people. I used to be really uncomfortable with that analogy and comparing it to, you know, the LGBTQ struggle. But the more that I come out, and like, you know, there's no other way to describe it. But and it's like it literally, like, you know, telling my mom, you know, like it was sickening, and you know, I've been disowned by my friends. You know, when I first started dancing, I had 2 of my girlfriends say that, you know, if you're going to do that, you know, get out of our lives.
Wow.
Jesus.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
and
fuck
that's,
them.
well,
I know it's your real friends, but like from the distance I have, I'm like, yeah,
you
fuck
know,
them.
I have to tell the whole story because, you know, a year later they went to a titty bar for the first time, had a great fucking time, and called me and apologized.
Okay.
And said, I'm so sorry. You know, we just didn't know what it was. And I think that that's the big thing is that people, you know, you see The Sopranos, or you see, you know, like all of these like strippers on TV, or there's like depictions of strippers in rap videos or whatever, and like that's not what sex work is for the most part.
Oh, I wanted to ask, like, we talked about the existence and non-existence of the cam girl community, but with strippers, what is the backstage actually like?
Oh my god, the best ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that the best part of being a stripper is getting to work with other strippers. I love strippers. That's like an important piece of like who I am as a human being. I love watching strippers. I love hanging out with strippers. Like, I love strippers. They're hilarious. Some of the funniest women that I know.
That's what I would assume. Yeah.
And like, okay, like set the scene. One day I walked in and there's a girl blow like one leg up on the dressing table, blow drying her pussy.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I've used a diffuser on mine because my hair is usually really straight, so I like to puff it up. Anyway, sorry, keep on going.
I was like, that seems uncomfortable as fuck, but maybe I'm wrong.
No,
I
You gotta
guess.
dry it out.
Yeah.
You gotta dry it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
That's actually my sexual specialty. Is drying
Can't
it
go
out.
up there with a big wet puss. Yeah, I mean, never mind.
Can't. I don't know. Man, I'm so
you know,
wrong about everything.
And you'll see like, you know, a girl bending over and being like, can you see my tampon? I mean, it's like a level of intimacy and support. And like, you really like, it's a little bit like, you know, you're on a, you know, sports team or like you're in a war or something. Cause like, this is your army, right? Like these are your people. And when it's good, like when a club has a good energy, it means that every girl in the club is doing their job, everyone's getting along, and everyone's making money. You know, the nights where it's not good is where someone steals from someone, or you know, the kind of like drama nights, which does happen. But I've worked in clubs that I adored, and I've worked in clubs that I would never go back to again. And a lot of that has to do with management. And I'll be honest, the clubs that I've worked in that are the most fun are all managed by women.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Is there? I'm trying to think of a way to phrase this, but like you were saying, like you're a college-educated, like white person with no kids. Is there a class divide that you see?
Yeah.
Like, and like.
Yeah. And I think it's so funny because, you know, I started doing, I became more serious about doing burlesque when I moved to New Orleans. And traditionally, sex work has always been, you know, it's the same caliber. Just edit that out because that's not the word that I meant to say. The same sort of economic strata. You know, the burlesque stars of the 40s and 50s were all, the big ones were all white trash, you know, like, and that's still, you know, it's poor, you know, it's how we pay for college. It's how we pay to get out of abusive relationships. It's how we pay for shit.
Right.
And a lot of people end up really, you know, taking the job and liking the job and embracing the job. But at the end of the day, it's a job that you can make a lot of money, you know, for skills. And that's the other thing that I don't think people really understand is that it is a skill, being able to entertain men. You know, the geishas or whatever in Japan train for hundreds and hundreds of years to be able to do it. And if you're good at it, you can make crazy money. But I think that it's not entirely, you know, poor women or women from poor backgrounds, but for the most part, yeah. I mean, I worked, you know, with girls who are have very wealthy Connecticut families who, you know, their families were so fucked up that they became strippers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I don't mean like, oh, their family made them fucked in this. Like, oh, they didn't have money to pay for college, and so this is how they paid for college.
I don't think I have any other questions.
I had one, then I lost it.
Do you got any more screenshots? Because that shit's fun.
Oh yeah, I've got something I can just kind of read off. But I'm also curious, like, I want to know about like your favorite porn.
Oh man,
Favorite porn you've ever seen?
I don't know, because all the porn I like is like shameful and badly produced, and like I have like some really weird. I think that I started watching porn young, so it kind of like ruined me, and I had to like wean myself off of it. And so I'm just starting to try to get myself to be into things that aren't hot to me because they're taboo, but are like you were talking about intimacy earlier, and I think that the reason that I go for taboo in porn, like, is that like reluctance and like things like that, is that in the absence of being able to find anything that resembles intimacy, taboo fills that void. Do you know what I mean? So like, but when I do see like well-made porn, that's like, that almost like feels like people are having sex that they're both enjoying, which is so rare.
Yeah.
But when I do see that, I feel like I don't need the fucked up stuff. So I'm just trying, but I probably would need to pay for porn to see that.
I think with me, it's pretty shallow. I'm just like, am I attracted to that person? And like, then it's like if two people or however fucking many people, 1,000, I don't know. But if everyone's having a good time, then it's like, better. If it's convincingly people are enjoying themselves, like that's good. But there's definitely a shallow, just like, oh, that's a very nice ass.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Before you answer, just both of you have kind of spoken to something that I think is really key, like empathy. You know, you want to be able to empathize with the person in this video because they're having a good time.
Even if it is something like demeaning or whatever, it's still like everyone's on the same page.
And
Right.
you can, I think that you can feel that. You can feel when people are having, like when you're watching someone on screen. And so I wonder what it does.
When you're like jerking off and then you come to the realization that like, hey, didn't even mean to do
Go on.
But that like, oh wait, I just figured out that like someone is having a very bad
Oh
time.
god, that's the worst
And you're like,
fucking feeling.
I
You got
know.
your hard dick in your hand and you're like, I just need to fuck it. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the worst is when you see someone like actually make like an owl face.
Yeah.
Ugh. I hate anal sex. I hate watching anal sex because I feel like it's all very like
Really, like
rushed.
there's a part of me that like I am just like amazed.
Yeah.
Like amazed. And like they'll like pick the girl up, you know, like by her legs and she's like, and they're just like pumping her up and down like a weightlifter. And I'm like, that is like gymnastics, babe. Like that is like a feat.
Yeah,
It's acro
that's-
yoga.
No, it's amazing. I just like hate. I have a very horrible, mean butthole that hates things around it, so I can't help but project that on other people.
Yeah.
You're not going to escape the porn question.
I have my fair share of kinks and preferences, but most of the porn I watch is extremely vanilla, and it's like the stuff that like couples produce in their bedroom stuff. Like, yeah, I could just got applause for that one. Hell yeah.
Yeah, pull up your actual
My actual search history.
bullshit.
Yeah, no, it's true. But it's only because there's so much of that and so little of the stuff that I am actually into that is produced in a way that isn't horrifying. So
What do you watch porn? Like outside of research?
You said you didn't really before you started doing cam shit.
Well, and part of what I realized was I was watching porn and why it never appealed to me because I'd seen porn, but I never really like it wasn't. And it's because I am such an empath. Watching those girls did not do it for me.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I just like, you know, there is some, you know, and it's mostly like I was saying about the butt fucking, like it's the athleticism that really amazes me. Like I've seen some girls do some things that I didn't think were physiologically possible, right?
I think we all have.
But I also like, I love like the kind of old, like when porn used to have like storylines. I'm really into that.
that's funny. Yeah.
But yeah, I like to say like my man right now is absolutely my porn. The other day I watched him build a fence, take a shower, cover himself in coconut oil, do some yoga. That was it.
Damn.
You know,
Sounds like a slippery lad.
but that's what I think. We were talking about dick pics earlier. Like dicks are the least attractive part of a man for me. Like
If you're gonna send a dick pic, send a full body. you
Yeah.
know?
I mean, yeah, it's like if you build a spaceship, you don't just take a picture of the docking bay and be like, look at my spaceship. Do you know what I mean? It's like there's a whole lot of interesting majesty that is not the docking bay.
We're blasting off, baby.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I've every dick pic I've ever sent could be used against me because my face is in it too.
Oh yeah.
I love that though. That's bravery. That's trust.
Yeah.
I'm also just like in love with the way I look.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you know.
Nice. Do you like when I had hair that long? I would like do it so it just grazed my nipple. You're like right at that length, aren't you?
I haven't cut my hair for like 5 years and it just stopped growing at a certain point. So I don't know. I am where I am. It's not a nipple thing at all. No.
All right.
Mine doesn't quite cover my nipples.
Mine doesn't
If
either.
anyone wanted to know.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
I went to Lady Godiva myself.
I'm hoping mine will grow that long, but I also think mine has plateaued.
Like Eve. Hair covering your nipples, a leaf covering your puss.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good look.
Yeah. So do you all want to keep hanging out or rap or what? How are you doing? How are you holding up?
I think we got a solid riff left in us. You still have some screenshots, right?
Oh yeah, let me read you one.
I never want to rap. You guys always want to rap, and I just don't think I have anything else going on. So I'm like, no, we
Right.
should only do this podcast.
Let me see what the weather's like.
the listeners will love that.
I know, I'm deciding on whether
It's gonna get cold tonight. I'm really excited.
You like the cold?
Hell
I
yeah.
fucking hate the cold.
Yeah.
Being from Minnesota,
It
was
says it's
terrible.
gonna
You get
rain
used to it.
today,
It already did.
Yeah, it rained.
but it won't anymore.
I think this looks very much like cold front that has passed, and the sky is gonna be very blue. For
We're
a very long time.
inside.
What's that?
We're inside right now.
You can see the sky, motherfucker.
Okay.
little
Well,
bit.
first I
Alright.
just want to show you guys. You are editing this, right? Okay. So we can cut this. But this is. I wanted to show you like what I can see. So this is what I see, and you can see there's a cat that likes to come in my chat room.
Okay. Oh, that's cool. What does his shirt say? Do you remember? This is so cool. I feel like I'm in the. I feel like I'm in the bridge of a ship. Like I feel like I get to pretend to be the boat captain
That's
for a little
exactly-
while. Yeah.
Oh wait, is this
Exactly right.
live?
No, this is a
Oh, okay.
screenshot of
I was like, wait, are we doing that right now?
one of the cats that.
Oh
likes
man,
Am I
it
getting paid
reminds
for
me
this?
of the internet when in like the early 2000s.
Oh my god, yeah.
It's the
Oh
same
my God, yeah.
aesthetic and so much text everywhere.
We should stream the recording of this podcast on my free campsite or whatever.
Man, that
Yeah.
guy looks
I can
bored as
sell it.
fuck. The dude with the green shirt like does not look like he is particularly excited about anything.
He's German.
Oh, that makes total sense. Yeah.
Yeah. No, he thinks it's virtuous to look like that. That's his jam.
Oh, people are generally really like nice to me, but once someone came in and said about my tits, it's a bit saggy, but it's okay, boob.
But it's okay, boob.
It's okay, boob.
It's okay,
boob.
That sounds like a way to like comfort someone. If you're not talking about their tits, it's okay, boob. It's okay.
It's okay, boob.
Yeah, it's a bit saggy. You're talking about someone's mood, but it's okay, boob.
God.
So this is a request that I got for a private chat. Hi, do you want to do a role play with me in private? You would be the hot daughter of my new girlfriend, and it's my 50th birthday party today. Late in the evening, you ask me to show you the guest room. When we arrive, you ask me, do you like my dance moves? I noticed that you've been watching me. Or did you just like my dress? Or my high heels? OMG, do you have an erection? You want to see my dick? And you want to play with it? Smiley face. Could you put on a dress and high heels for the role play? Please mail me back and send a PM. That's kind of sweet, right?
His fantasy
he's not a great
is,
writer, but you know,
his like sexual fantasy is just the plot of every single thing on free porn sites
Yeah.
right now. It is all turned
It's
into
all
like
what it is.
stepdaughter
Yeah.
shit.
Oh, yeah, there's lots of family stuff.
Yeah.
yeah. That man,
The final frontier.
that came along at the exact same time as Trump, for sure.
No,
No,
did
it was
not.
around before then.
It got so much bigger though.
Bad
Like,
take. Bad take.
It
get
was
the fuck out of here! No, absolutely. Like 2015, when like the guy who always talks about wanting to fuck his daughter is like the most popular person.
I would disagree with that only because I've read all of these studies about when you watch a lot of porn, you need more and more extreme porn.
That is why I started watching incest porn.
And so, like, like the time that you're talking about is a few years post tube sites. So people at that point, when the tube sites started, you could watch whatever freaky fucking shit you wanted for free. And so porn had to get more and more and more extreme. And so I think people overall started getting more and more and more into incest porn. So I think that maybe that gave it a little spike, but overall I think it's part of this larger trend.
Or maybe that got Trump elected. Maybe that was.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It was the
All right.
reverse.
The take is evolving.
I mean, I'm sure there's always going to be a connection between like everything happening in culture and like sex and porn. But I also like think that as someone who it was like way before Trump that I started to like get into that. I don't know.
Yeah. I've read those studies also, and I've read the journalism around them, and a lot of it is like a lot of the rhetoric around it is puritanical, and a lot of the institutions that are producing this research is puritanical. And I think that it's true that it escalates, but I don't think it has to.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's more of a fact of like you're watching something and then a whole bunch of shit is recommended to you, and then you just like go on to something very slightly more, and it just
Right.
and you're just like curious. You're like, oh, and then you're like, oh, he spit in her mouth. I guess oh, I kind of like that. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, and it escalates just by virtue of the fact that like half the time, if you go from one video to another, one of them is going to be a little bit more edgy.
I think I did luck out though. Like I went. Wait, what?
No, keep going.
Oh, sorry.
I'll dispute that.
All right, bring it on.
Oh, okay. Since my brain, I don't like gendered stereotypes, but I do think just because we're raised differently, usually like a lot of women don't like porn at all. I think that like I'm less visual and like I care more about like anyway. I think that it was like a pendulum for me where like I like started watching porn pretty young, like when I was a teenager. And then by the time I was like in college, it was like into more fucked up stuff. And then it like swung back where I was like into really vanilla stuff. And I don't really know why that happened, but I'm trying to like not get off to things that I find morally reprehensible.
Yeah.
Because there's a difference between fantasies and watching. I mean, first of all, I'm trying not to watch free porn, but also like there's a difference between fantasies that like you act out with a partner or like play, like you were saying, like cam girl, and things that you just like watch someone endure.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I do think that like you can healthily like play out those ideas, like you were talking about, like being demeaned or these fantasies. I think that's a lot healthier than watching someone else do it for you. But I don't know.
Well, also sometimes it's like listening to music. Are you gonna search for a specific album and listen to that album the whole way through, or is it gonna be on shuffle and you're like, oh, I don't like that song? You know?
Yeah. Exactly.
What were you going to dispute?
Well, I think that you're not really the person that we're talking about, if that makes sense, because you don't seem to have like a problem. Does that, you know what I mean?
Okay,
like, and
yeah,
so
yeah.
it's not really fair. It would be like, you know, me, someone who doesn't really drink, being like, well, it's not that big of a deal just because you have one drink.
Right,
and then,
right.
You know, like
Yeah,
I can
yeah.
stop after this amount of
Okay,
drinks.
so you're just talking about compulsive, like Mary Devon.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I was definitely addicted to porn for a long time and like couldn't come alone without it. So
Interesting.
yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that like the other thing is you're like, well, you know, that's that step where you're like, it's, you know, it's by degrees, it's gradual. That's still the same. You know, that doesn't make a difference to me if it's gradual or if, you know, one day you're watching vanilla porn and the next day you're watching 5 cocks and an asshole. Like eventually you're going to get there.
No, I think that's true. It's just, I think that a lot of bad, takes are justified with bad science, and they're like, the brain is this way and it has to be this way, and if you watch porn then your brain is going to get poisoned and your reward pathways are going to get all fucked up, and I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think that it's more a function of
Well, and I think
it has a lot to do with how
Circumstance.
young you are when you start watching it, and your brain is affected a lot differently. I think it's very dangerous for teenagers to be watching this kind of porn and to start with that.
And I just want to say for me that it's not just porn, it's violent video games. It's any of the kind of media, you know, what kind of media we're consuming, at what age. We have no research about the long-term effects of some of this stuff. And this is really a lot of what I studied when I was in college was about violence in the media and how that affects people's physical bodies, if that makes sense. Like, what does witnessing trauma, you know, on a television do to you? Is it the same as me witnessing someone getting shot in real life, me watching someone getting shot on a screen? And I think the answer is, like, we have no idea.
Also, it's such a specific type of violence that's shown in popular media, and then, like, you know, it was like a big thing with the Iraq War was we're not going to show like the bodies of dead soldiers anymore because look what it did to culture when we did that with Vietnam. So it's like some kinds of violence get approved.
Right.
Some kinds don't get approved.
right. The politically motivating variety does not get
Most of the time, violence against women is like the first thing that gets approved. Like Law and Order SVU is just insane, like basically like story porn.
Yeah.
But it's just violence. And it's extremely popular.
And I think what scares me as well is that, like I said earlier, I love strippers. And the younger generation of people are not going to strip clubs as much because we don't have the disposable income or like whatever. And I think Cam definitely puts a sort of personal face on it. But that kind of like fun touch, you know, and like being able to like go out with your partner or go out with your boys or go out with your girls and like have this kind of sensual experience, like is amazing and really good for people and releases all of these like good chemicals and like makes you feel part of something larger. And like it's this kind of beautiful thing. And if it's just porn and none of this kind of like bacchanal where everyone's, you know, rolling all over everyone. Like, you know, what does that do to us as a society? We're already feeling so disconnected.
And then it's tied to your economic status in a way that, like, if, you know, it's more and more expensive to go to strip clubs, only, you know, rich people are going to, and then the culture of it is going to change.
The benefits of strippers, which I think are numerous. I think everyone should have a good stripper in their life at some point. And not take things so seriously, I guess. And make things so much about sex. It's like you were saying earlier, sex is like, you know, 30% actual sex and 70% all this other wonderful magical stuff that happens when two people, you know, share an experience together.
70% trying to get the, like, comforter out of the way.
15% concentrated power of will.
But also, like, I believe in the power of dry humping. And I feel like we reach a certain point, like, in our, like, sex lives where, like, dry humping is, like, boring or, like, whatever. But, like, no, like, dry hump for, like, an hour, you know? Like, that's, you know, do, like, a proper, like, lap dance, you know? Anticipation is everything.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Yeah.
That's how you should start this podcast. You should put this part of it.
Anticipation is everything. And then we'll just have, like, 5 minutes of silence. And then we can start. Yeah.
All right. The beginning is the end. It's a folk song.
Zsa Zsa, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Is there anything you
need to plug?
No.
Okay. Well, if you change your mind, you can hit me up and we'll do it in post.
Okay, perfect. I love that.
All right. Thank you. Goodbye.
Toodles.
Bye.
Thank